You've been in that moment. You know exactly what you want to say, you've rehearsed it, you're ready. And then the moment comes and something stops you. You go quiet, you stay still, and 2 hours later, you're replaying it, wondering why you didn't just act. Most people would call that a confidence problem, but that framing misses something. You're not lacking courage. You're not broken. What's happening is quieter than that and more specific. There are 5 habits that feel completely reasonable from the inside, careful even, and they're steadily eroding your confidence without registering as harmful because they don't feel like self-sabotage. They feel like caution, like self-awareness, like being responsible. Once you understand what they're actually doing, you won't be able to unsee it. Habit 1. Measuring yourself by someone else's highlight. You open your phone, you see what someone else has built, accomplished, or become. And without deciding to, your brain begins calculating where you are compared to them, what you have compared to them, how far behind you might be. This is called upward social comparison. It's not a character flaw. It's a biological mechanism. Decades of research trace it to how humans assess their position in social hierarchies. The brain was built to scan for rank. For most of human history, that scan kept people safe. The problem is that it was designed for a world with roughly 150 people in it, not a phone that gives you access to the curated achievements of millions. The mechanism hasn't changed. The environment has. When you perceive yourself as lower ranked, your nervous system doesn't just feel bad. It activates what psychologists call a damage limitation strategy. Your brain begins to lower your confidence as a protective signal, a biological cue to not compete, not be seen, to stay small. You didn't choose that. It happened beneath your awareness. Over 6 decades of social comparison research confirm the same pattern. People make more upward comparisons than downward ones, and they consistently feel worse afterward. People with lower self-esteem compare upward more frequently, which lowers their self-esteem further. The loop sustains itself. The shift isn't to stop comparing. It's to recognize the comparison for what it is, a reflex, not a measurement. Your brain generated a feeling, not a fact. Habit 2. Asking for reassurance you already have. You said something in a meeting. It went fine. You know it went fine. And then you spend the next 40 minutes deciding whether to text someone and ask if it came across okay. Or you're about to post something. You've edited it 5 times, read it aloud twice, and you still feel the pull to ask, does this sound right? Reassurance-seeking feels like quality control. From the inside, it looks like diligence. Neurologically, something else is happening. Each time you seek reassurance, your brain's reward system delivers brief relief. The anxiety softens for a moment, and your brain logs that. So when the doubt returns, the automatic response is to seek reassurance again. The relief is real, but it teaches your brain one thing, that you cannot be trusted to evaluate the situation yourself. The very behavior meant to resolve doubt ends up deepening it, because the doubt was never really about information. It was about your belief in your own judgment. Every reassurance episode sends a quiet signal to your nervous system. Your judgment isn't enough. There's also a paradoxical quality to it. The more you seek certainty, the more uncertain you feel. Not because the situation is genuinely uncertain, but because the act of seeking confirms the fear that you can't hold it alone. The shift isn't to force yourself to stop. It's to notice the moment when you've already gathered enough and let the urge pass without acting on it. That single moment of tolerance builds more self-trust than 10 reassurances ever will. Habit 3. Waiting until you feel ready. The readiness you're waiting for may never come. Not because you're incapable, but because readiness isn't a prerequisite for action. According to behavioral psychology, it's a consequence of it. The brain resists discomfort through negative reinforcement. You anticipate something uncomfortable. You avoid it. The discomfort disappears. Your brain registers that as a success, and repeats it. Over time, avoidance doesn't just become a habit, it becomes the default. What avoidance actually costs is less visible. Every time you avoid something, you don't just avoid the task, you avoid the evidence that you could have handled it, and your belief in your own capability is built entirely on evidence. Confidence isn't a feeling that arrives before action, it's a belief formed through experience. Every avoided risk is also an avoided proof that you're capable. Over months and years, that compounds quietly, not as a single dramatic loss, but as an accumulating deficit of self-trust. There's also something psychologists call the avoidance gradient. The closer you get to taking action, the stronger the urge to retreat becomes. You can prepare thoroughly, feel ready in the abstract, and then freeze completely when the moment is real. You weren't wrong to prepare. Your brain simply increases the avoidance impulse at precisely the moment you're most ready to act. The smallest version of the thing you've been avoiding is enough. Not the full version, not perfectly, just enough to generate one piece of evidence that you can. If you recognize yourself in this, pause here. I put together a free 3-day workbook called Daily Micro Decisions for Introverts. Day 1 is awareness, noticing the patterns that drain your energy before you try to change anything. Day 2 is quiet boundaries. The small choices that protect your peace without you having to explain yourself to anyone. And day 3 is the one that actually builds self-trust, keeping one promise to yourself and tracking what that feels like. It's calm, low pressure, and it moves at your pace. The link is in the description. It's free. Habit 4. Treating imperfect action like no action. You have an idea, and instead of doing something with it, you spend weeks researching the best way to begin. Or you start and restart. Or you wait for a version of yourself who is more prepared, more polished, more ready to be seen. This is analysis paralysis. It's not laziness or lack of motivation. It's rooted in a specific fear, not of failing, but of being visible while failing. Perfectionism isn't about standards, it's about exposure. Psychologist Barry Schwartz showed that more options, more pathways, more possibilities actually increase anxiety and make action less likely. The brain becomes overloaded, decision fatigue sets in, and the safest feeling response is to keep thinking rather than choose. The longer you deliberate, the more mental energy you spend. Self-regulation is a finite resource. Eventually, the mind either makes an impulsive choice or defers the decision entirely. Self-efficacy research is consistent on this. Confidence in decision-making is not built through better information. It's built through the experience of making decisions, including imperfect ones, and finding out you survived them. The evidence your brain needs isn't that you'll get it right, it's that you can handle getting it wrong. You don't need certainty to move, you need enough. Habit 5. Treating your own wins like borrowed time. You finish something well, and instead of letting that register, your first thought is some version of, they'll figure out eventually that I'm not as good as this looks. This is called the imposter phenomenon, identified by psychologists Clance and Imes in 1978. Research published in 2025 found it in roughly 62% of the people studied. Across large-scale general adult surveys, the figure is closer to 70%. This isn't rare. For many people, it's constant. The mechanism is an attribution error. When something goes well, the mind credits luck, timing, circumstances, other people. When something goes wrong, the mind internalizes it. Evidence of inadequacy, confirmation of what was always suspected. Over time, this asymmetry means your successes never update your self-perception. They dissolve, your failures accumulate. It tends to target the people least deserving of it. Those who think carefully, hold themselves to high standards, care deeply about the quality of their work. Feeling like a fraud is often inversely correlated with actual incompetence. The people most likely to doubt themselves are frequently the ones doing the most rigorous work. The shift isn't to talk yourself into confidence, it's to practice a different kind of accounting. Not affirmations, evidence. What specifically did you contribute to this outcome? What judgment, effort, or skill was yours? That question, asked honestly and consistently, slowly begins to correct the error. One of these 5 habits activates as a response. Compare, seek reassurance, avoid, over-research, dismiss. The anxiety reduces, briefly, and the brain registers the habit as having worked. What doesn't register is the long-term cost, the quiet erosion, the growing distance between who you know yourself to be on the inside and who you allow yourself to be externally. That distance is what eventually starts to feel like an identity, not a behavior pattern, an identity. I'm just not a confident person. But what the research actually shows is that you've been running a learned loop, and learned loops can be interrupted. Confidence isn't a trait you either have or you don't. It's built slowly through behavioral evidence. Every action you take despite the hesitation generates one new data point, not proof that you're exceptional, proof that you can. You don't need to be louder, you don't need to become someone else, you don't need to overhaul anything overnight. You just need to move slightly differently in the moments that matter. The next video goes deeper into the root of all of this. It's called, You Don't Have a Confidence Problem. You Have a Thinking Problem. Because what most people experience as a confidence issue is actually a specific pattern of thought running underneath every habit we covered today. That video is up next.